Hey there, my friend Perry Tinsley here. We all have goals, and many people I coach often say that they, especially when it comes to health and fitness stuff, they say, I just need to get motivated. But that's not really what you need to do because motivation is really hard to come by, or at least it's inconsistent when with coming in. But that's what many of us think about. So I'm going to share with you a simple trick that I don't even know if it's a trick. It's just a strategy, I guess. So you can stay totally committed and reach your goals even faster. And I want to thank you so much for joining me on another Power Blast podcast where we provide nourishment for the soul, allowing you to transform from the inside out, providing you rapid results in mindset and fitness so that you can recharge your battery and reclaim your power. And before we get into all this great stuff, make sure you head over to talktoperry.com. Get on my calendar. I opened up my calendar wide open for podcast viewers and listeners like you. And it's all about keeping that energy high and reaching all of your goals. And when I talk about your battery, it's your mental and your physical battery so that you can reclaim your power. We do that in 15 minutes. That calendar, and that's where you can book one, is talktoperry.com. So I've been reading a couple of books lately. Well, one I read a little while ago. It's called Atomic Habits. And the other one I'm recently or currently reading is called The Gap and the Gain. And so I was really intrigued because there's this moment in the book where it really overlapped with this thing called, I'm drawing a blank on the moment. But these two books overlapped, so that you can make exercise a habit and stop relying on motivation. And it's a simple, scientifically proven strategy. See, back in 2001, I'm going to make it sound like I've been doing my research on the on these studies, but these were listed in the books. But back in 2001, some researchers from Great Britain, they discovered one simple thing. They broke these people down into groups, and they were, hopefully you're ready for this, because it's really, really easy to dismiss how simple this is. But basically, they had three different groups, and the group that succeeded in showing up for their exercise and getting it done was when they formulated a plan for when and where they were going to exercise over the following week. That's it. I'm like, what? Yep, they wrote it down. Each person, they completed the following sentence, the following statement, I guess you want to say. During the week, I will get in at least 20 minutes of exercise. I think this is a vigorous exercise on this day, at this time, at this place. Okay. And the interesting thing that they found with their results was like 91% of that group showed up and exercised at least once a week. And that was way more than double than any of the other groups. And so I think the other groups were trying to rely on some sort of motivation of some sort. One group totally had to motivate themselves. They didn't have any motivation. Another group had, they were kind of like reading some material about exercise to help them get motivated. But this group, they wrote down that intention. Just by simply writing it down of what they intended to do with their exercise made them a lot more likely to follow through. Isn't that incredible? It's simple. And I think for a lot of us, we'll sit there and we'll just let it swim in our head a little bit and never actually write it down. But what would that unlock for you if you did? I remember the name. It's called an implementation intention. Fancy words. But that's when the light bulb moment went off for me as I was reading one book. And I'm like, I remember this in another book. And so we're 91% of the people. They showed up for their exercise when they set that intention. And so that was pretty cool because so many of us, we rely on motivation or willpower or some sort of thing to, a lot of times people are just waiting for magical dust to just fly over them and make things happen. But as I said before, you need to have a burning desire for what it is that you want to go after. A lot of times people don't have that burning desire. They say, yeah, I'd like to lose this, or I'm going to do it this time, by golly, and really don't make an intention or really take action on it. They let it swim in their head of, yeah, it's kind of a good idea. Someday, maybe. They don't make it one, they don't make it day one. They always make it one day. So getting that written down can make all the difference for you. Plan for implementation. Where and when are you going to get your exercise done? Many people think they lack motivation. I think it was James Clear in that book, Atomic Habits, where he said, people think they lack motivation, but they're really lacking clarity. So it's, I will exercise at this time in this location. And I know there are some of you out there, might be you, that are going, yeah, but it won't work for me because I don't do things at the same time every day. So get it down. You, at least getting that intention down, I think can make you more likely to exercise. And I think this can work for other habits too. Like I will meditate at this time for this long and in this place. I'll read an inspiring book for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. I'll charge up my energy and exercise vigorously for 45 minutes at 7 a.m. in my home gym. That's what I do. I will hop on a recharge call with Perry for 15 minutes at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's where I tell people that's my little lead in, just a clever lead in to jump on my calendar when you're ready. And I call it a recharge call because a lot of us, we're scrambling around so busy. We claim we're busy, like an iPhone that's about ready to crash, 3% battery life, no charger in sight, and you want to surf something. You want to launch an app and you're afraid you're going to crash, right? So that's over at talktoperry.com because I want to hear what goals you're working through, where your struggles are, what's become that energy drain for you. And I will tell you within 15 minutes of us talking together where you're going to get the biggest results from, what direction to go, and just so you can recharge your battery and reclaim your power. And you'll walk away with 3 strategies so that you can boost your energy, reclaim your time, and make you, I see you, make you the priority. Seriously, I ask this question a lot. How would your life look different? What could you accomplish if your mental and physical battery was running at 100% every single day? TalkToPerry.com is where you can find that. Now, things don't always go as planned. This is another thing that those books talked about. It's called an if-then strategy. And it's for anticipating those times when there's going to be some setbacks or obstacles. A lot of times people are like, I'm all or nothing, and then they have a setback and they end up doing nothing because they're striving for perfection. But for instance, I think one of the books talked about, if your eating plan intention is that you're wanting to dial in your nutrition, what's your strategy for when you have the tempting holiday treats or the junk food? Or maybe you're stressed out and you're craving sugar, or chips or something like that. So this if-then works better so that you're not exhausting yourself with this mental energy of willpower and getting down on yourself like, I sabotaged all my hard work. If-then helps you make faster decisions. So the goal isn't to stay in this regret, remorse, guilt, sabotage mode. It's to get back on track as soon as possible. So here's an example if-then. If I eat fast food for lunch, then I'll stop at the store and buy some fresh vegetables and make those for dinner. If my workday runs a bit too long and I don't have time for exercise this afternoon, I'll wake up a bit earlier tomorrow and get in a power walk or run. The if-then strategy, I believe, really works. I mean, it gives you a clear plan for overcoming the unexpected. I used this when I was wanting to get in shape, but I had an hour drive back and forth work, and you want everything to go perfect with traffic and weather and stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you what, after an hour commute, sometimes after a long day, you can just kind of settle in and say, I need to relax when I get home. But I use the if-then strategy. used it for vacations. I used it for family gatherings. When I started my fitness routine, my fitness journey, and I've stayed on it. I've committed to it for lifelong, but that's been over 20 years now. But when I first started, Easter was the very next weekend, and I'm like, well, I should put it off till after Easter. But I knew that if I didn't do that, if I put it off, I'll continuously be a habitual procrastinator. And I wanted to end that. So I'm like, okay, what's my if-then strategy for Easter? I will sample some treats and some great foods and stuff, but I'll also drink a lot of water. I'll focus on vegetables. I'll do things that my new healthy version that I'm aspiring to be would do. And I'll start doing those now. I won't start putting things off and making excuses. And I won't rely on willpower when things go sideways. See, motivation, I talked about this before, it's hard to come by, and it never leads to staying consistent. A lot of times we put such value in it. It's getting specific on your plan and taking action with those behaviors. So just know, you can choose to use your power and take control, or you can let the ideas swim in your head, let the excuses, justifications, alibis, even comparison control you and drain that power of yours. It's deciding and committing to yourself and your goals and choosing to figure out new ways, using these strategies, looking at possibilities, learning and growing, and keep moving forward. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. You've got this, my friend. Drop those in the comments. I do respond to those. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find this show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.